A project like this is an opportunity for us to learn a whole lot more about solar energy because it's going to be so important to the future energy needs of the world.
One country has started harvesting sunshine with a vengeance. The air is now cleaner, renewable energy is cheaper, and fossil fuel dependence has decreased. People driving through southern Germany will see farmhouses with solar panels everywhere they look. Even hills are completely covered in solar panels. Quietly and cleanly, these solar power plants generate electricity.
Looks like a divine light shining in the middle of the countryside between Seville and Cordoba in Andalusia. This tower concentrates the energy of the light reaching Earth by 1,000 times. These 2,600 mirrors reflect the light, moving with the sun to catch its rays.
The amount of energy we produce a year is equivalent to the average consumption of 30,000 Spanish households.
The heat stored in the top of the tower is absorbed by a mix of melted salts kept in these huge vats. This salt, heated to more than 500 degrees centigrade, stores the energy for several hours. And that is the great innovation with this solar power station. It can produce electricity even when night falls. This station, the first of its kind in the world, reduces CO2 emissions by 300,000 tons a year.
Solar Power, More Power for the Dollar by Tinelli. We inherited a beautiful world full of rolling hills, beautiful blue water, green grass, and crystal skies. A world full of responsibility. We have the choice to walk down any road we choose. A world of fun, where we can be ourselves and truly enjoy any situation. A world of choices, where our creativity is our only limit, and where we can choose from endless possibilities. It is our world, and it is our choice how we use it. Solar power may be our one opportunity to save a little more and consume a little less. So why use solar power? How do we collect solar power? How does it work? How do we use it? How is it discovered? How is it used to create my power? What different types and uses do we have for it? What are the pros and cons of solar power? With the amount of power we use every day, it has become something that we as civilized people have a hard time living without. How catastrophic would it be if you had lost power for a week? On a regular basis, we use our computers, iPads, TVs, and God knows we could not live without our cell phone for more than 10 minutes. But in an age of economic hardship, and the ever-increasing price of resources, we have pushed to find a cheaper alternative energy. So how does solar power work? The simple answer, the solar power is collected. The collected energy is pushed to a power box, and then it is distributed to the power system in your house, were to split between DC and AC current. So why would we use solar power? Could it be that you didn't see the signs? What do we do if life as we know it comes to an end? In a world that has so much uncertainty, solar power could provide a secure choice. Perhaps all those crazies were not that far off. Zombie apocalypse is yet another event where being prepared with solar power could save your life. Now we have the how. So what about the why? Or at least the why that does not include zombies. In just 20 days of sunshine, the sun's power surpasses all the energy that is contained in coal, oil, and natural gas. This first bullet may say more than anything else I can provide for evidence of solar power. 20 days of sun is more powerful than all of the consumable resources on the planet. Outside Earth's atmosphere, the sun's energy contains about 1,300 watts per square meter, and only 2/3 of that power is making it through. Even that 2/3 is further depleted, as some of it is soaked up and turned into wind. And again, the sun is partially responsible for yet another form of green energy. In 1839, French scientist Emile Becquerel discovered that certain materials would give off a spark of electricity when struck with sunlight. Photovoltaic cells are the most common and well-known face of solar power. Driving around your neighborhood or past some larger industries, you can see these large black panels covering the rooftops. The first cells were made of selenium in the late 1800s. In the 1950s, scientists at Bell Labs revisited the technologies, using silicone, producing solar cells that could convert 4% of the energy in sunlight directly to electricity. The most important components of these cells are the two layers of materials, generally composed of silicone crystals. Crystallized silicone in its pure form is not a good conductor of electricity, but when impurities are intentionally added, or the silicone is doped, the conductive properties are exponentially greater. The bottom layer of the cell is usually doped with boron, facilitating a positive charge. The previous slide mentions the boron creating a positive charge. This positive charge produced by the boron is captured and converted into usable energy. The power is then converted into AC or DC by standard electrical circuitry or inverter and distributed to your home or business. Here is a simple diagram showing how the power system in a standard housing system works. A lesser known option for solar power is through the use of a solar trough or reflective panels. This process is called thermal concentration systems. These panels are positioned to reflect the sun into one area. This principle has been around for a long time. We always have known the sun could be concentrated since the early days of burning ants. Avid campers, or those who watch TV survival shows, will see these dishes used to start survival fires. Some will show you how to cook with them. It is the same principle that applies from concentrating sunlight into a beam to create heat. It is the same principle that we see in these mass power stations. These stations, new to most of us, are now in use around the world and showing the awesome force of green energy. The parabolic trough is the most developed of these methods. Curved mirrors that look like long troughs concentrate the light towards a pipe in the middle of the field. The pipe contains a fluid that is heated and then used to heat water to power a turbine. These solar plants involve focusing solar energy into a single tower in the middle of an array. By using mirrors and lenses, the reflected light can reach up to 3,000 degrees Celsius. California was one of the first to feature these plants called power towers. The power tower is a 17-acre field of mirrors concentrating sunlight on the top of an 80-meter tower. The intense heat boils water, producing steam that again powers a generator in the tower. The world's largest solar power tower just became operational outside Seville, Spain. It's been confirmed that the groundbreaking solar tower generates 20 megawatts of electricity. This is now powering 10,000 homes with renewable energy. Though we've seen similar towers before, we've never seen it executed on such a scale. Along with any new technology comes naysayers. The pros of solar power include never-ending resource. Once startup is done, the cost of running a solar power system is next to nothing, and few other energy sources can claim no pollution. Solar power does not release carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, nor mercury into the atmosphere. It does not burn fuel and generates no emissions. And who would not want to cut the power company a bill at the end of the month? Be nice to give them something to think about. The only real negative is climate variability. Yes, these things may be a little ugly to look at on some houses, but the biggest worry is what happens when it's cloudy. Most every climate will work, but some have different panels and different equipment to make it more functional. With all the possibilities for solar power, our imagination is truly the only limit to what it can do. So irregardless if you are working on a new independent housing system free of big business power, or perhaps you are that big business power who's just trying something new, or maybe you're NASA using solar power for satellites, or a smaller cab company finding a way to stretch a fare even longer. Or maybe you're just a regular civilian looking for a cheaper way to get around town with a little bit of style. If you're soaring to new heights in your new solar-powered airplane, or searching with the timeless and ever-comical solar-powered flashlight, finding new ways to use the sun's power to charge your electronic products, or keeping your phone charged while you're catching a few rays yourself. If you find time to dislike solar power, or if you're one of the strong supporters, solar power will remain our world's most prominent and available green and naturally sustaining a resource. Unless you happen to live in a town like this, which is apparently against solar power. In the end, it is our responsibility, if we want to preserve this work and pass on something to be proud of. We must make the change now and adopt solar energy.